You're watching Drake Wing Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Wing Gaming, a 70 Mounts Word of the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with the Let's Play episode of Violet Memoir, Lee's Path. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back into it, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Alrighty. It didn't take long for my prediction to come true. Me and Lily were barely a block away from my apartment before the flood of messages from Oscar came in asking about my time with Lee, especially what he saw from Charlie's camera. I gave him the truth, but I did omit some of the details that I know he'd blow out of proportion, though Lily giggled the entire time. I just have to hope she isn't much of a gossip, but somehow I get the feeling word will still get around. Hope that word doesn't get back to Lee. He'd probably not approve of our entire group knowing, and I get the feeling that if Oscar finds out, Lucas wouldn't be far behind. Speaking of the Fox, he'd also sent me a message while I was talking with Lily earlier. It wasn't much, just a simple check-in to make sure I was doing okay, but it put in perspective what Lily mentioned. Everyone truly is worried about me, and it's both heartfelt and frustrating. It's really nice to have people caring this much. I haven't felt that in a long time, but it's also a little irritating having everyone look down on me. I can take care of myself, but doing it for years already. I know how to cook, do laundry, clean up, and basically everything else you need to live alone. The only thing I'm missing is the glimpses of life in the house. But that was only reserved for my parents coming home late into the night. Most of the time I wouldn't even get to see them. It's not something I really think about often, but that conversation with Lily must have gotten to me. Which was her intention, I suppose. I just chose to not think about everything, and it worked for the most part. Wallace? Lily's voice pierces through my thoughts, and I haven't noticed we're just standing on campus. I hadn't been paying any attention since she left. I've been on total autopilot. Sorry, I was just thinking about stuff. Did you ask me something? Oh, no, I could tell you needed your space, but we've been standing here for only nearly 5 minutes, and I thought you might want someone to wake you up before a stranger got worried. Thanks, but where are we? We're at one of the cafes on campus. Most of the stores around here are open on Saturdays. Plenty of students, especially post-grad, have classes on Saturdays. So most stores are open today. Whoa, I didn't know that. I didn't take the time to read up on Everwinter. But you decided to come here anyway? It was spur-of-the-minute decision. I thought it'd be easier to go here if possible. I already lived in Everwinter, and my parents wanted me to go to a college with flexible attendance. Why do you ask? It's just, I've learned so much about the boys already, but not from you, if I'm being honest. If I'm being honest, you've been pretty guarded with any information about yourself. I just thought we could get to know each other better. I don't think there's much interesting going on with me. I'm not so sure about that. But she doesn't elaborate further as she leads me into the building we'd been standing outside of. It turns out that it was a cafe, though I should have figured that out from the small tables sitting outside. I just didn't expect there to be such commodities on campus. For some reason, I thought there would only be classrooms and office buildings, but a lot of it are stores and recreational centers. While I was exploring around on Monday, I noticed the science building that I went into for my biology lecture had a whole leisure space for students. Had a pool table, dartboard, everything. That would be fun to go to with everyone at some point. I assume it's available to all students. But that isn't important right now. Instead, me and Lily are just enjoying our late morning with some drinks and a conversation. She was especially eager to hear about my time in high school. I forgot that I told her where I went, so she kept asking me about what it was like to have a beach just a short walk away from school. I gave her the same answer as last time, which was that it isn't as glamorous as you'd hope. I could tell there was some more she wanted to ask about my home life, but she never pried. I think she wanted me to talk about it myself, and probably to Lee instead of her. I can understand why. Lee and I have gotten closer this week than I ever expected we would. I don't know exactly how close with that indication yesterday morning, but he's one of the closest friends I've had in a long time. Plus, with how mature he is about everything, he'd be the ideal person to talk to all this with. Not that Lily isn't great, I just get the feeling she already has her hands full with the others. And from the way she keeps talking about how excited she is about my date with Lee today, I can only imagine just how much she's messaged him about it too. At this rate, I might as well be going on a date with her, even though it isn't even a date. And Lee just invited me out to have some fun. He's made it pretty clear that he doesn't view me that way. Yesterday morning was a spur-of-the-moment thing. He just views me as another kid for him to take care of. It frustrates me, but there's not much I can do about that. I just think I've developed a crush. I haven't done that to anyone I knew in real life before. At this rate, you're gonna break that poor mug, and then you'd have spilled hot chocolate and a burnt hand. Oh, sorry, I was stuck in my thoughts. A penny for your thoughts? Are you the whole piggy bank kind of guy? It's just that Leigh always treats me like a kid. I wish he wouldn't do that. Lily suddenly goes quiet, and the pondering expression on her face is enough to shut me up. She looks like she's trying to figure out a way to say something, and that makes me worry. Lily? Hey, Wallace? Yeah? Why are you always so upset with Leigh calling you a kid? It's just an affectionate nickname. He calls me and Lucas that too. I don't think he means anything bad. I don't know, it just does. I'd never really given it much thought, even though I knew deep down why it bothered me so much. It's the same reason why I don't like people shortening my name, why I avoid the beach, and why I haven't been in my attic for years. Leigh doesn't pursue any further, though I can tell that she's not buying what I'm selling. She just doesn't want to pry into a sensitive topic. I'm grateful for that. She keeps talking, but I can't focus on what she's saying. I'm able to figure out that she's curious about my hobbies, since Lucas and Oscar are so open with theirs, but Leigh and I hold ours so close to our chest. But my mind can't help but wander back to Marcus and how things were back then. Wallace, you there? Huh? Oh, what are we talking about? Are you okay? You've been out of it since we left your apartment. I've just been distracted thinking about things. Is it because I brought up what we talked about yesterday? Yeah. Did you want to tell me about it? I haven't really thought about the time when Marcus was alive. It was just easier to pretend it didn't exist. But now my mind can't help but slide back to the summer he first came back from university. Second, y'all. Water time. Alright, guys and gals, and we are back. Okay. I don't know, maybe you were asking about hobbies, right? Things I used to do? Yeah. Well, most of what I did was with my brother. He helped me learn to play piano, play baseball, etc. We did everything today. But things were different after he came back from college. One day Mom called me to tell me that Marcus was coming back home to stay. I was excited, but no one else seemed happy about it. Mom and Dad tried to hide it, but they weren't doing the best job. My middle school brain couldn't comprehend why they weren't as excited as I was. I hadn't seen Marcus for months, and he usually came for a couple of weeks before heading back, but he was finally back for good. To me, it was the best case scenario. When he finally came home, Mom and Dad were home to greet him, but they had to go catch a flight shortly after, leaving me back in Marcus's care again. I didn't care, though. I was just happy to have him back. Things seemed normal at first, but in retrospect, I should have seen more signs. He was never as happy as he used to be and would avoid leaving the house, only going out to accompany me. We never went to spend time with his friends like we used to, most likely because they had all moved on to jobs or stayed at university. That didn't matter to me. I had my best friend back. My view was biased. He was always kind to me, so I thought everything was fine. Even though he'd get into arguments with Mom sometimes, I thought those were isolated incidents. No one told the preteen what was really going on. I didn't find out what was really happening until I was older. I remember one evening Marcus brought home a big box to surprise me with. He said he felt bad about missing my birthday earlier that year due to still being at college, so he wanted to make it up to me. Before he left for college, we used to play video games together all the time. It was one of our favorite pastimes together. With no parents at home, we could play late on weekends and school holidays. It was the best. I think he was trying to rekindle that relationship between us, not just for me, but to try to find that old connection for him as well. I don't know why he brought a console that expensive. He wasn't working at the time, so he must have used his savings for it. I never asked, but I was just excited to have it. While we played it together a lot at first, that fizzled out quickly. He started becoming more and more reclusive. I've been too consumed in my present to notice, though. I should have tried to involve him more when he distanced himself, but I didn't really care at the time. I was too focused on my own fun to notice anything happening to him with him. I can't remember much about that time. It's all a bit of a blur. Most things regarding my brother are. I don't know if time has just distorted them or if I've just pushed them away, but they are. But that day where he brought home that console is as vivid as the day he brought it. I can pick up on every little sign I didn't see, every sad twitch of his face, every hollow smile, or just every dismissive word. I wonder if he was ever happy after he came back home. Bringing my attention back to Lily, I can see that she's digesting everything that I told her. She never interrupted me once during my story and listened attentively to every word. I could tell she had things she wanted to say, but she held her tongue the entire time. I didn't know if that was for the best or not, and I kind of wished that she would have spoken up. Thinking about that day always brought some pain to my chest. Like most of the memories of my brother, there wasn't a lot of happiness there. Was he ever truly happy? How did I never notice that things were that bad with him? We were together nearly every day we could be. Before he left for college, he would take me everywhere. His friends were my friends, and when they all went away, I was left alone. But that all vanished when he returned. But I was stupid, never considered what he was going through. Wallace. I expected the voice to come from Lily, but she isn't the one speaking. Oh. Wallace. I expected the voice to come from Lily, but she isn't the one speaking. She's just watching on with a gentle smile on her face. There's pain there, a familiar soreness that comes from loss. But there's relief there, too, at the presence of the person standing next to us, and from what I could tell, have been standing there for a long time. Just how long had he been standing there? Did he catch that whole thing? I feel like I should be more embarrassed or concerned about it, but there's something cathartic about Leigh finding out. He takes one of the remaining seats and sits next to me, initially staying silent to try and gauge my reaction, but when I say something, he takes the initiative with the conversation. Is everything alright, kid? Yeah, I was just telling Lily a story. Didn't sound like a happy story. I didn't know you were listening in. I shouldn't have... Kid. Hearing him say that nickname again after everything Lily and I discussed fills me with a conflicting mixture of emotions. It still irrationally irritates me, but I can't help but feel the adoration in those words. Lily's right. They aren't meant to be demeaning or condescending. They're truly words of affection and endearment to those he believes deserves them. It makes me happy and annoyed in the world's most confusing cocktail. You know I'm always here if you need it. I may not be the smartest guy, and I ain't gonna act like I am, but if there's one thing I am, it's a good listener. You sure? It's not a fun story. Of course I'm sure. I wouldn't have offered if I wasn't. It didn't take too long for me to tell Leigh the same information as I told Lily the other day. He had significantly fewer questions than she did, though somewhere along the line his hand came to rest on mine. Once I finished telling everything, we were all just sitting there in silence. I didn't know if he's just thinking about everything I said or if he's trying to figure out how to respond. Lily gives me a massive smile, but keeps her attention elsewhere like she's trying to give us a moment, though she isn't very subtle with how her eyes keep flicking back over to us, and especially on Leigh. She doesn't want to miss this for the world. Not that I can blame her. I don't think I've breathed since I finished the story. Telling it to Lily felt easier than this. There was less stakes. Not that I don't trust Leigh, I do. I just worry that it might change things between us. Before I can truly worry about that, he makes up his mind, but not in the way that I expected. He leans over and wraps a hand around the back of my neck, pulling me close in a loose, distant embrace. It isn't a hug, but it's still got that same close intimacy that makes the anxious buzzing in my brain shrink till I can barely hear it. Jesus, I wish you told me earlier, kid. I'm sorry. No, don't be. Things can be hard to talk about. I think we all know that. I think we all know about that. Lily nods her head in agreement, but both of them are giving as soft of smiles as they can. They're filled with reassurance and love. I can feel my eyes watering, though I manage to keep myself from spilling tears. Damn it, I didn't mean to make you cry. It's okay. I've just never had anyone to talk about this with. Not even your parents? Surely they must have been going through the same thing. They lost a son after all. I didn't want to burden them any further. Mom really beat herself up over it and threw herself into work. Sometimes I wouldn't see her for weeks, even if she called most nights. Dad tried his best to take care of both of us, but since we were always separated, it was hard on top of his own grief and work. They were already going through a lot. You shouldn't have gone through it alone. It wasn't too bad. Jesus, kid, you really don't take care of yourself, do you? Come on. What? But I'm not able to say anything else as I'm effortlessly pulled onto my feet by Leigh. He doesn't hesitate to bring against him in a side hug that reminds me a lot of Oscar's affections, and the irony isn't lost on Lily, who's grinning ear to ear. Well, he said that she wanted to give you a day to cheer you up. Never realized that you've been through so much, but she's right. It's not that big of a deal. Everything's fine. Leigh's just staring down at me with concern but not pity. He truly wants to try to brighten my mood. He always wants my best interest at heart, but I've never seen him be this open about it. Alright, y'all, I'm going to pause it right there. Thank y'all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and that notification bell. It's late, y'all. I'm tired. I'm going to relax for the rest of the evening. I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!